if you're starting a company, if you're the founder, entrepreneur starting a company, you always want to aim for monopoly, and you want to always avoid competition. And so, hence, competition is for losers. Something we'll be talking about today.
So apparently competition is for losers, and the only way to actually play capitalism correctly is to have a monopoly. The statement made by this guy, this con man, Peter Thiel, who is a billionaire tech oligarch and the founder of PayPal, but just a complete con man. This statement right here is a perfect example of why the free market is going to eventually destroy itself. The free market is a self-destructive system that absolutely has no bounds, and it's not tied into any kind of like reason or rationale or like fundamentally like sane systems-based logic. This system is absolutely suicidal, and the statement made by this guy shows that the contradiction of capitalism that Karl Marx talked about is absolutely true. The free market is basically a system that says that if every single person goes after their own self-interest, right? And we have individual people, individual players in the marketplace competing for market share, and everybody trying to like maximize their own self-interest, and we have competition in the arena, right? Open competition, then things are eventually going to gravitate towards a better society. We've had hyper form of free market capitalism called neoliberalism since the 1970s. The Reagan and Thatcher era is when this new form, this new iteration of capitalism was adopted by the world. And what have we seen since then? We've seen nothing but an ever-increasing rate of inequality, environmental destruction, deregulation, government like becoming weaker, and corporations becoming more powerful. And I would say one of the biggest telltale signs is the formation of massive multinational monopolies. This is what competition leads to. You have to understand, the end goal of competition is to eliminate the competition. That's how competition works. We have two boxers in the ring, right? We have two guys in the ring fighting each other. What is the goal of one of the boxers, or both of the boxers, whatever? What's the goal? Is to eliminate your competition, is to knock them out, to finish them off. And in the open marketplace, what does that really mean? It means for one company, one corporation, or one entity to have complete dominance in the arena in which they work or they operate. So it means that for one car manufacturer to own all the different car manufacturers, or for one media company to own all the other media companies, absorb them. Monopoly is the end game result of capitalism, okay? And if you argue against this, then you have to answer is, why is it that in the United States, a country that's a pure free market, really, it is, where everything is up for sale? That's what a free market is, right? Government regulations up for sale, environmental protection is up for sale, legislation is up for sale, everything is up for sale. In this country, which embraces the most extreme form of free markets, hence neoliberalism, why is it that we've had nothing but a rampant increase in inequality, a rampant increase in government corruption, in monopolies everywhere? Like, we used to have dozens of media companies, now it's only a couple. We used to have many different manufacturing companies, now it's becoming less and less, more and more narrow in the hands of fewer people. Why is that? Because that is, again, the end goal of competition. Free market capitalism is a system that does not even understand its own behavior. This is a schizophrenic system. The players in the system, the agents of the system, people like Peter Thiel, these other tech oligarchs, these finance bros, they don't even know the monster that they are actually advocating for. Because, again, statements like this guy, competition is for losers. The only way to play capitalism correctly is to have a monopoly. We're headed in a scenario where like 30 people are going to own the entire planet soon. And, it comes down to activists and systems thinkers to expose us reality, educate other people. Listen, hey, this is not the result of Trump or a corrupt administration. No, this is the actual natural gravitation of every single capitalist system is eventually going to get down to this situation. So it does not matter if we had the golden era of capitalism, right, in America in the 1950s, where the working class had a lot of power, right? People had high wages. The government had a lot of regulation placed on corporations to hold them accountable, right? Wall Street was heavily regulated. Well, because we have a capitalist system, it was only a matter of time before the corporations and the financial interests worked their way back into the government, use their money and their influence to override regulations and override legislation to favor the elite 1% and screw the average person. So no matter what safeguards you put in place, no matter how much the government tightens its control on regulating big business and big corporations, it will eventually fall apart because the system mechanics, the foundational behavioral mechanics have not been changed. So the behavioral mechanics of a system that's based on growth, on competition, on material expansion, right? Of self-interest being maximized, hence neoliberalism, of like making a scapegoat out of the government. Like, if you notice one thing about these free market lunatics, they hate government. Government is the biggest enemy. Like Ronald Reagan used to say, I want government to be so small that I can drown it in a bathtub. He said government has to be so small so that I can drown it in a bathtub. And that's really, in essence, that's their mentality. The free marketeers, these free market fanatics, they want to abolish the government. They want to completely destroy the regulatory state. And that's what we see right now with the Trump administration, Elon Musk, these other tech oligarchs, these psychopaths. They want to destroy the government. They want to remove every single government program, using people's tax money to help poor people, right? Welfare, food stamps, government housing. These things are like very much hated by free market people. Free market people hate the government. They want to have the entire world one open marketplace where people are competing with left and right for everything. They want to have everything privatized. And that's really what it is. Privatization is a cancer. Privatization seeks to privatize the water supply, privatize education, privatize healthcare, and have all these things provided by corporations. But when you privatize, that's what happens. Every a corporation is really a top-down hierarchy. It's an authoritarian setup where the average person has no say. Only the CEOs and the board of directors get to say what happens in that corporation. And so if we have a world where corporations run everything and government is very limited, there is absolutely no mechanisms in place to protect people. There's no regulation in place to, watch over food, right? Make sure your water's clean, make sure your air is clean, make sure that there's food standards being maintained. Because these corporations can do whatever they want, you basically have a mafia system where they can pollute the water supply, they can pollute the food, they can throw waste everywhere. Like, they cannot pretty much engage in very bad waste disposal and pollute and destroy the environment, and further give themselves handouts and increase inequality in society. That's what's going to happen. The free market is a very destructive mechanism, and like, government is one of the only things we have to protect the average person from rampant corporate corruption and destruction. Like, that's really one of the only things we have is government regulation. So these people who like argue that government's the problem, they don't realize the worst thing ever is the free market. The free market is a mafia system. And so, Peter Thiel is right. He's actually like being very honest here. And I actually appreciate his honesty because he's really exposing the capitalist system for what it is. He's making it very known, making it very clear. They don't like competition, right? As we see with China, the DeepSeek model that came out, where they developed that model with only $6 million and made these guys freak out. See, it shows their hypocrisy. It shows their hypocrisy that the free market actually hates itself. The free market talks about competition being important. Well, the agents of the free market system, they don't like competition. It makes them feel anxious. It makes them stressed. They want to dominate the marketplace. They want monopolies to be set up everywhere. And they want to absorb their rivals. And so with the rise of China, which I think is a more ethical form of capitalism, I mean, believe me, capitalism is a piece of shit system. It's the worst thing ever. But China is actually engaging in like building and, engaging in more like collective cooperative networks and open source, as opposed to the West, which is basically the entire society is in the hands of only like a dozen people. They don't like that. These big tech oligarchs, they don't like what's happening. And so to them, again, competition is for losers. The only way is to have a monopoly. And Peter Thiel pretty much exposes like himself and, his entire flawed and destructive free market model, that this system is ultimately completely unsustainable. And neoliberalism has pretty much accelerated all the crises that we see in the world today. Rampant inequality, poverty, corruption, crime, destruction of our ecosystems, wars for profit. That's what the system really is. That's what the system is. It's a cancerous system. And it's about time that people really wake up and realize that we need system change. Unless we have a system change, we abolish capitalism altogether and put in place mechanisms and foundational societal arrangements that are complete diametrical opposites of capitalism, we're going to be in a very, very tough and dark road ahead. So, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share it with others. And I hope I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please share it with others. We are here to transform minds one person at a time, and education is the key. Peace out and keep fighting.